Ramon City Council meeting today, January 27th, 2026 at 7:01 PM. Let's conduct the roll call.
Councilmember Adler.
Here.
Councilmember Dwaynat.
Present.
Councilmember Veros.
Here.
Vice Mayor Rubio.
Here.
And Mayor Armstrong is not with us this evening.
Okay, let's do the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
We're moving on to item 3.1. Are there any changes or additions to the agenda? Okay, seeing none. 3.2, if you wish to speak under public comment or regarding an agenda item, please fill out a speaker card located in the back of the room indicating which agenda item you would like to speak under and submit it to the city clerk. At this time, the public is permitted to address the city council on any non-agenda item relating to the business of the city council. Items that are on the consent calendar, including requests to pull an item from the consent calendar and the reason why you wish to pull the item or items. Please note that the decision to remove the item from the consent calendar is strictly at the discretion of the city council. Requests for future agenda items, special presentation items under section 6 of tonight's agenda, items that are not on the agenda and are within the city council's jurisdiction. Please be reminded that while the city ensures the First Amendment rights of its citizens, we do not accept nor endorse any offensive or hateful comments made during our meetings. The city celebrates the diversity of our community, and we strive to be a welcoming and open community for all. If you wish to speak under public comment or regarding an agenda item, please, as mentioned earlier, please fill out the card in the back of the room. And while we encourage your comments, unfortunately, state law prevents the city council from discussing items that are not on the meeting agenda. And the city council does take them very seriously, however, and if appropriate, staff will follow up. Do I have, do I have to read all of that? No. Okay. Do I have a motion to open the public comment, please?
I move to open the public comment.
In this case, no motion is required on the
Okay,
consent calendar.
great. I don't need
So we can just go ahead and open.
Great. I don't need it. Okay, great. Is there any public comment?
We have not received any speaker cards. We did receive 2 written public comments for item 5.5, which is on the consent calendar for Eric Franklin. And item 5.11 from Brian Swanson, and one more, item 5.11 from Shirag Kathrani. And those are before you and also in the red binder in the back of the room.
Okay, great. Thank you. Seeing that we don't have any public comment cards, we will move on. I need a motion to approve the consent calendar.
I move the consent calendar.
Okay, motion by Councilmember Veros,
I second that motion.
second by Councilmember Adler. Go ahead and vote on your screens when you have a moment.
Do the vice mayor, do we have to read the title of the,
Oh, that's right.
Title of the ordinance.
Yes.
yes. And
So I have to read, I'm sorry. Okay, so it was seconded and there's no discussion on the motion. I'm going to read the ordinance 536, approving the development agreement by and between the city of San Ramon and Sunset Development Company relative to the development known as the Canopy Bishop Ranch 8 affordable site. Recommendations to waive the second reading, read by the title only and adopt the ordinance 536. Okay, so that's it. We're going to move on. Did we finish voting? Okay, the vote was unanimous, 4-0. So we will move on. There's no special presentations under item 6, no deferred consent items under item 7. And unfinished, there's no unfinished business, so we will move on to new business, starting with 9.1, Arts Advisory Committee Annual Report presented by Ranjini Venkatachari, Chair, who's the chair of the Arts Advisory Committee. Thank you so much.
Well, I'm going to sneak in here and give a brief introduction. I'm Adam Chow, the staff liaison to the Arts Advisory Committee. Why don't you come up here? So we're very happy to be able to have the Arts Advisory Committee here to be able to give their annual report. They've been doing a lot of really great work with the staff and providing feedback. So you will hear a lot of what we have done in regards to the arts programs, the feedback the Arts Advisory Committee is doing, the community inputs, and kind of the direction of where we're planning on going over the next year. Ranji will be able to give the report, and then I'll be here to be able to answer any questions that you may have.
Good evening, everybody. I'm really excited to be presenting the San Ramon Arts Advisory Committee Annual Report for 2025. Committee charge. The purpose for committee: support and promote cultural and performing arts program in San Ramon, provide advice, counsel, recommendations, and feedback to the City of San Ramon on provision, selection, and delivery of public art and cultural art programs, events, and services. Our committee members include Ranjini Venkatachari, Chair, myself, Lisa Razanowski, who's our Vice Chair, Robert Bickle, Ken Costanzo, Srinivasa Manapragada, Rob Mazer, Naina Shastri, Aksar Shakil, who's our alternate, Dinesh Govindrao, who's also an alternate, Sridhar Rossi, our City Council liaison, and Will Dorlick, who's our Parks and Commission liaison. Our accomplishments and actions for 2025, review current art programs and classes within the city and make recommendations to staff for improvement. The committee received numerous presentations on the current art programs and classes within the city, including Doherty Station Community Arts Center, visual and performing arts classes, camps, art gallery programs, and theater operations at the Doherty Valley Performing Arts Center and Front Row Theater. The committee provided comments and feedback on all of the presentation. Select an artist to commission an original piece of artwork for San Ramon Art and Ben Festival. The committee assisted staff with the selection of artists to create an original piece of artwork that will be used on the promotional material for the annual festival. Jeffrey Brewer was selected as the featured artist for 2026 Art and Ben Festival. Review art gallery exhibit proposals and select exhibits for Lindsay Dirks Brown Gallery, the Alcosta Senior and Community Center Gallery, the Doherty Station Community Arts Center Gallery, the City Hall Gallery, and San Ramon Library Gallery. The committee reviewed applications from over 180 artists and artist groups. The committee ranked each submission and provided feedback to the staff. Approximately 45 artists and groups were selected to exhibit in the 5 city galleries. Review public art proposals from private development and make recommendations for acceptance to the Planning Commission. So the committee reviewed murals for Marketplace Shopping Center and the Little Big House for Heritage Park at Bishop Ranch 1A. Review cultural growth grant applications and recommend grant amounts to the staff. This year, the committee did not receive any grant application. Encourage Arts Advisory Committee members to be an ambassador for the arts to attend a minimum of 4 events per year in San Ramon and provide feedback to the staff. So the committee members generally attend more than 4 events per year and regularly provide feedback to the committee meetings. Some examples are art receptions, community performances, the Art and Wind Festival, the Culture and the Community Celebration, and more. Update the City of San Ramon 5-year cultural plan for 2025 to 2029. Staff are updating the plan for the committee to review. It will be presented to the committee in early of 2026. Review the Arts in Public Places program and make recommendations on updates if necessary. Staff are updating the Arts in Public Places program for the committee to be reviewed in early 2026. Review and make recommendation for future permanent public art projects at the Doherty Station Community Arts Center. staff are developing the RFQ for the Doherty Arts Community Center Signature Public Art Project. The RFQ is expected to be released in 2026, and the Arts Advisory Committee will be involved in the process to review and recommend an artist for the project. Review and evaluate the current condition of artwork in public art inventory and make recommendations related to the maintenance and repair if needed. The Arts Advisory Committee members conducted site visits, assessed the public art collection, and captured photos. The assessment helped staff evaluate the artwork's current condition, identify lost artwork, and detect maintenance or repair needs. Our goals and objectives for 2026: review current art programs and classes within the city and at Doherty Station Community Art Center, make recommendation to the staff for improvement, select a featured artist for San Ramon Art and Wind Festival, review art gallery exhibit proposals and select exhibits for Lindsay Dirks Brown Gallery, the Alcosta Senior and Community Center Gallery, the Doherty Station Community Art Center Gallery, the City Hall Gallery, and the San Ramon Library Gallery. Review public art proposals from private developments and make recommendation for acceptance to the Planning Commission. Review cultural growth grant applications and recommend grant amounts to the staff. Encourage Arts Advisory Committee members to be an ambassador for the arts and attend minimum of 4 events per year in the San Ramon and provide feedback to the staff. Update the City of San Ramon 5-year cultural plan 2026 to 2030. Review the Arts in Public Places program and make recommendations on updates if necessary. Recommend an artist to design and install a permanent public art piece for the Doherty Station Community Art Center Public Art Project. Review the Cultural Growth Fund program and make recommendations on updates if necessary. So if you have any questions and feedback, we would be happy to answer it.
Okay, do any of the council members have any clarifying questions or comments?
I do. I have one.
Please go
Yeah,
ahead.
Thank you for the presentation. Really enjoyed it. Question regarding the artists and the RFQs that the Arts Committee proposes. Is there a specific medium that you're asking for? Or is it photography, digital, clay, sculpture? Or is it open to the artist's discretion?
Yeah, and so are you referring to the public art at the Doherty Station
Yes.
Community Art Center?
Mhm.
So that one, so the Arts Advisory Committee, we this year brought it forward to be able to ask for suggestions on what it is that they want to have. There's no specific real criteria in regards to medium specifically, but they did have a bunch of criteria in regards to what they wanted to see. They wanted to see elevation, so that way it's a tall piece, so that way it could be seen from the street.
I see.
They wanted something with lighting. And so there's a number of different criteria the Arts Advisory Committee has already put forward that's been included into the RFQ, which will be coming out here in the next probably several months.
Okay. And final question for me, what more are you looking for? Like from the community, from council? Like where is there somewhere where there's something short? Is there somewhere we could help more? Is there where are the gaps that we could fill?
At this time, with respect to the Arts Advisory Committee, I think we have a great team, and we love our discussions, bringing forth arts to the community. We are putting together an artist group, which is really supported by the city at this time, and we have meetings, which is actually bringing the community much more closer together. So at this time, I think the city is really giving us a lot of support, which we really appreciate.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Any other comments?
I have a question or comment. I just love this. I love the art committee. I just think it is so reflective of what the city feels is important, and art to me is just fantastic to enjoy while you're in a facility and walk by it and you see the talent that we have. How long does it normally take when we have a big project? I imagine it takes a couple years. Like I'm thinking of Liberty, the beautiful eagle up on Memorial Park. That first of all, you've got to make a decision. Where do we need the art? And then you've got to figure out who the best artist is. How long does that normally take? And how long did that particular art piece up at Memorial Park take?
Yeah, so every project's a little bit different. Liberty, that took, I want to say it took 7 or 8 years for it to come
Wow.
to fruition. Partly because it was a private-public partnership and to be
Yeah.
able to do that. For other projects that we did, so the one that we did at the library Inspire, that took actually 4 years to come together due to a number of different delays with COVID and those sorts of things. But usually we try and do a project every 2 years. So public art projects, we try and schedule it for every 2 years. So that way we can be able to do a permanent project on 1 year. We try and be able to do a temporary project on the off year as the process takes a significant amount of time. So we have to do the RFQs, we have to interview the artists, we have to get everything set up. Then there's fabrication, there's all kinds of different engineering pieces that we have to be able to go through. So it is a complex, long process. But we are thankful that we have good results and we have good teams that can be able to work with it to make sure that the public art that you see is quality and that it is functional and it works really well for our community.
That's the key, and I think we can be really proud of, I mean, one of the first things I did when I was on the council was we went over and dedicated the art piece over at the library across the street, and it was like so beautiful to see the reflection of the light. And of course, the one up on the Memorial Park is just stunning. And so you guys have done a great job. It might take a little bit longer, but the results are what matters. So congratulations. Love the report.
I have question.
Yes. Oh, yes.
Thanks for the presentation. One of my favorite committee, not because I'm liaison, but the great things that is done, especially from my recent trip to Miami. Man, I'm all excited about our art, all the things that we can do. It's great work that we do here. So especially the gallery. This year, I see that there is a lot of response from the community, as well as social media. The huge turnout, as well as in the social media, a lot of posts. So now we are doing all this great work, but how we are measuring our participation? Are we measuring how we are growing, or how do we have any benchmarks that we can see?
So one of the great things that we've been able to do is we've been getting a lot of opportunities to be able to grow with the Doherty Stage Community Arts Center, the staff that we have right now. We've been able to grow a number of different areas in regards to arts. So we are keeping metrics. A lot of it is we are benchmarking right now to be able to see where we've been for the last several years and the growth that we've been doing with the investments that we've been putting into the arts and the efforts that we've been able to put in. So for galleries, as you had mentioned earlier, we have 180 artists that applied for this year. We had 140 previously, and the years before that, it was like 80 and 60. So we do have some exponential growth, and we are keeping track of those metrics in regards to how we are growing some of those pieces. And then also program-wise, how many programs we're offering, how many partnerships we're doing. So we do keep a lot of those metrics as well, and so we can share those with you if you would like.
Oh, definitely. We would love to see those metrics.
And also the two juried shows that was done last year, which the information is not in here. One was the juried show that was locals only, that had a huge participation, and we had kids right from kindergarten all the way up until seniors, and the place was packed at the Doherty Art Center. And also the other juried show that we had, where we invited all of the Tri-Valley artists. We had artists coming all the way from San Francisco to, all over the place to fill up the Lindsay Edwards Sperm Gallery. It was a wonderful community participation. So.
Awesome. So if we can add that into this presentation, the stats, that will be great, so that we can get some perspective on how we are growing and what additional requirements that we can meet, right? So my next question is, we have some amazing youth artists in our community. So how we are engaging them in our arts program?
So one of the things, as Ranji had just mentioned, is our juried art shows. One of the things that we make sure that we do is provide opportunities for youth to be able to participate, whether that is through competitive processes. So we have actually categories for kindergarten through second grade and third through sixth. So we do have processes for all those different age groups to be involved in these same things with all the professional artists that are out there as well. So they have opportunities to be able to converse, to be able to network, learn from each other. As Ranji also mentioned as well, we have an artist group that we're trying to be able to form that has actually started and had a meeting last Friday. So the opportunities that we have for artists, for young people and for our local artists to be able to get together. We are working on developing those as well. And in the 5-year cultural plan, which we're working on right now as well, there are specific steps identified for how we can be able to work with our student artists. And so how do we provide opportunities for them to be able to exhibit? We have, April is always Youth Art Month for us. So all five of the galleries exhibit youth artwork. We partner with the San Ramon Valley Unified School District to make sure that that happens as well. So we are very cognizant of making sure that there are opportunities for all of our youth to learn through classes, to be able to exhibit through this public spaces that we have, and to be able to network and mentor with the different people that we have within the city and the community.
Awesome. My next question is about, San Ramon's pretty diverse community, right? So how we are trying to make sure that we provide equity so that everybody should be able to participate as part of this like we do jury art show, which I attended. It was one of the great success. And how are we taking any measures to make sure that we are reaching out to the community so that they can participate in this?
Yeah, and I think all of our outreach goes out to the community wide. And the nice thing is that we have all parts of our community involved in it, from the youngest to our oldest residents, from all different backgrounds, all different parts of our community. So our representation throughout the arts, we can see it's significant. We have a lot of different cultural programs that we offer specific for youth and adults. So there are a number of different pieces that we have that we've seen that we're trying to make sure that is representative of the community that we have here.
Perfect.
The call for art this year actually went through Cafe, which is an online system, which is, reached to more people compared to last year, which is why we had more applications as well. So this year, the social media reach was much more evident than last year. So I feel like we had a lot of participation throughout the community.
Yeah, I could see that in every event, but just I want to make sure we share that information so that residents understand what all the great work you're doing. So those are my questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the presentation. Always exciting to hear all the work that you do. I sat on your committee as a liaison for 2 consecutive years, and I saw all the work that you really do. One of the most detail-oriented committees I have seen operating, and it shows. So I only have a couple of questions. In particular, I just want to know if you're doing any direct collaboration, outreach collaboration, working on projects, special projects or initiatives to reach out to the high schools, middle schools, or elementary schools. Just because I find that sometimes young people may be hesitant. They know, but they may be reluctant. And also, are we doing anything in that regard with our senior center and trying to get them recruited as well?
Yeah, definitely. And so we do work with the schools on a regular basis. We work with the art teachers. We work with the arts coordinator for the school district as well to make sure that we all have a good collaboration for arts programs, make sure that everybody knows about the different opportunities, both in school and then how we can support our artists outside of school as well. So we definitely do that. We also work with the senior center to make sure that they have the information for any of our call for artists, for our exhibits and all those sorts of things. So we definitely try and utilize all the outlets and opportunities that we have to be able to communicate and outreach.
Wonderful. Thank you. So my second question is art as therapy. We do realize there's a longstanding shortage on sort of social support services and school psychologists and things like that. But how, if in any way, is there any efforts or projects that you work on to try to use art as therapy, especially with our young people or even our seniors?
Yeah, no, definitely. And so at the Art Summit, we had an Art Summit in September. So we opened up to the community to be able to come and talk about art programs. What does the community need? And so identified in that, as it was actually 2 years ago, that, art therapy and therapeutic arts is something that we were going to look at. So we actually had a conversation with Discovery Counseling Center in regards to what it is that we might be able to partner with. It is identified in the 5-year cultural plan that will be coming out soon. That is one of the goals that is in there. And it's part of it is being able to identify when we can be able to work on that and what a priority is for us. But it has been identified in that.
Wonderful. I'm excited. I'm looking forward to hearing more about that. Thank you so much again, both of you. Did you want to say something? So I just want to thank you both for all of your hard work and commitment in this committee. And, it's visible. We have February 1st, correct? Is there an announcement you'd like to make and make sure our community is aware of it?
Absolutely. Well, thank you for the opportunity. February 1st, we're holding the Culture and the Community Celebration at the Doherty Station Community Arts Center. It'll be from 12 to 4. We will have, I want to say we have about 40 different performing arts groups. And so that is from dance to singing to music. We will have cultural booths. I want to say there are 19 different cultural booths that will be there this year. We've got a couple food trucks on the way. We also will be doing workshops as well. So hands-on workshops to be able to do different art from different cultures. I think we have 6 different workshops to participate in. So it's going to be a fantastic day. I highly encourage everybody to come out and visit.
And time and place?
It is going to be at the Doherty Station Community Arts Center on Sunday from 12 to 4.
Great. Thank you so much. Thank you. Okay, we are going to open public comments. Do we have any?
There are no speaker cards, and we did not receive any written public comment.
Okay, great. So we are going to move on then. We're going to close public comment. And we discussed already, the council has already made their comments? Yes? No further comments?
Oh, I can
Or
say,
do you want more?
yeah,
Go
yeah.
ahead.
Oh, thanks, Art Advisory Committee, for all the great work that you do. I think your accomplishments 2025 shows your commitment and dedication, and your 2026 goals looks really good. And just for Council Member Adler's comment about the how much time it takes. For example, that Eagle artwork, I was Parks Commissioner at that time. So it took almost maybe 7 years, 7 to 6 to 7 years almost to get that thing done. It's these are like all this artwork that can take a long time, but then in the end, when they come out, it looks so beautiful. So thank you.
Thank you. Councilmember Adler.
As we go forward, and we see the building going on in the city core, and I'm wondering, are you always thinking about, I don't know how much you want to put in, but I would think every area in the city, you could probably find a place for art especially where people congregate. So I'm thinking when we are building the core here, are we looking for places where we can put art as people walk maybe from their residence down to the city center, wherever they're going to go in the core? Are we thinking about new places to put art so that, it's plentiful in the city and it brings joy to the residents? Is that something that we kind of look at for new areas, new places?
So we're in comments, but if you want to take a moment to answer the question, please feel free to do so.
Yeah, I'm sorry, meant to ask you that.
No worries.
Yeah, not a problem. So for the downtown core specifically and with the Bishop Branch area,
Yeah.
we are working with Bishop Branch. They do have a public art master plan in regards to where they are going to be placing public art and how they're funding it. So we are working with them on that process.
Wonderful. Great to hear. Thank you.
Any comments as well, or?
No, that's it.
Okay. Councilmember Joinet? No, nothing. Okay. Thank you again for your comprehensive presentation. We look forward to all the great things you'll be doing the year ahead. So there's no action required on this. We will move on to 9.2, audited annual comprehensive financial report for the city of San Ramon for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2025. Staff report by Jennifer Wakeman, our finance director.
Good evening, Vice Mayor and council members. The item before you tonight is acceptance of the annual comprehensive financial report for the fiscal year ended June 30th, 2025, which reports the city's financial performance for fiscal year 25. So we're looking back a year in time. The key purposes of this document are transparency and accountability, financial reporting standards, assessment of the city's fiscal health, and operational overview. Mays and Associates is a firm of licensed certified public accountants that the City Council engaged to perform the annual audit of the city's financial statements. The independent auditor has rendered an unmodified or clean opinion indicating that the City of San Ramon's financial statements for the year ended June 30th, 2025 are fairly presented in conformance with generally accepted accounting standards. Let me introduce our audit partner, Whitney Crockett, who will provide a presentation on the results of the audit. After her presentation, I will share some closing comments, and then we will welcome any questions you have.
Great. Thank you so much.
Good evening. As Jennifer mentioned, my name is Whitney Crockett, and I'm an audit partner with Mays and Associates. We're the external independent auditors for the City of San Ramon. And I'm filling in tonight for Vicky Rodriguez, who is the engagement partner who oversaw the audit during the year. However, I was involved the past couple years. Yeah, let me just move on from that. Okay, so Mays and Associates, we're local. We're in Pleasant Hill. We've been in business since 1979. We've been in the municipal audit world since 1987. We audit over 150 municipal entities. Over 50 of them are cities and towns, and the rest are special districts. And then we have over 40 ACFRs that we audit every year, and we are independent of the city. So our annual audit services for fiscal year ended June 30, 2025 include the audit of the city's financial statements. And then we also look at the appropriation limit calculation agreed upon procedures. What that is just making sure that the city's appropriations limit is recalculated correctly. And our audit is conducted in accordance with auditing standards generally accepted in the US. So our audit is structured in a two-phased way. So we have our interim audit, and that was done in June 2025. And that's where we look at the internal control environment, making sure that those that have access to the city's assets don't also have the ability to modify the records of the assets. And if they do, there should be segregation of duties in place to make sure that any risk associated with that is mitigated. So during that phase of the audit, we do some control tests to make sure that the processes in place are being followed. And then we have the final phase of the audit, which was done in October 2025. And that's where we test the year-end balances and the activity for the fiscal year. And we also work on the preparation of the footnotes that go in the annual comprehensive financial report. So as Jennifer mentioned, the results of the audit was an unmodified opinion on the basic financial statements. That is a clean opinion. That is the highest level of assurance that we can provide to the city. So that's good news. And then the appropriation limit calculation agreed upon procedures did not have any exceptions. So standard language in that report. So moving on to the annual comprehensive financial report, also known as the ACFR. That's the acronym that I might say a little bit. So looking at the ACFR, there are several components of the ACFR. So the bulk of it is are the basic financial statements. So the basic financial statements include the auditor's opinion, management's discussion and analysis, which is written by management. Then you have the financial statements, and then you have the footnotes to the financial statements. And then outside of that, before and after the basic financial statements, you have the transmittal letter, which is prepared by management, and then the required supplementary information, and the supplemental information, and then the statistical section. So ever since, I think for the past 18 years, the city has applied for something called the GFOA, or Government Finance Officers Association Certificate of Achievement for Excellence in Financial Reporting. And the city has received this award, and that includes June 30, 2024. The city is in the process of submitting an application for an award for June 30, 2025. And it's anticipated that the city will receive this award again, but it takes a few months for them to review and give the award. So management's discussion and analysis is prepared by management, and that's right behind the audit opinion in the ACFR. And it really provides you with an overview of what happened during the year. So changes in balances, activity, and other relevant, I guess, bigger things that to bring to your attention. So it's a good read if you want to get like a high level overview of the financial statements. So governmental accounting standards are something that the city has to follow with their ACFR. So each year they come out with governmental accounting standards. And in fiscal year 2025, there were two. The first one that was effective is GASB 101, compensated absences. And that one basically required that the city look at the compensated absences liability to make sure that what is captured in there is in accordance with the accounting standard. So the impact from that GASB on the June 30, 2025 financial statements was that the city was required to capture other types of leave that were required under the GASB in that liability. And then also look at the prior year balance that it would have been capturing those additional items. So they had to look at June 30, 2024's compensated absences liability, recalculated to incorporate those components. And the city determined that the change was not significant. So there wasn't a material restatement in the financial statements. The change for this accounting principle was just incorporated into the current year liability. GASB 102 was also effective, certain risk disclosures. And this is just a item for disclosures in the financial statements to include any constraints or concentrations, like if you were heavily reliant on one sales taxpayer, something like that. But this had no impact on the financial statements, so just pointing that out. So in the financial statements, you have the statement of net position, and that's also known as the entity-wide statement. And that is different from your governmental funds balance sheet, which is a few pages behind that. So the entity-wide level, think of it as long-term. So it includes both current and long-term assets and liabilities. So it's the whole picture, full accrual of accounting, as we call it. And then equity is known as net position in the statement of net position. When you get to the fund level, so the governmental funds balance sheet, an income statement, that basis of accounting is what they call modified accrual accounting. And that is just the current basis. So you're only looking at current assets and current liabilities. So it's not as long-term. And equity in the fund level statements is known as fund balance. So at June 30, 2025, in the citywide financial statements, assets were $497 million, deferred outflows were $32 million, liabilities were $128 million, and then deferred inflows of resources were $10 million, with net position at $392 million. So within net position, there are three categories that the city allocates to. So net investment in capital assets is the largest at 89%. And that makes up the balance of capital assets at June 30, 2025, less any capital related debt or financing that the city has. So that's the largest chunk. And then restricted net position was about 20% of total net position. And that makes up anything that's restricted by law, grant, or contract. So that was another large chunk. And then the unrestricted deficit of net position made up 9%, negative 9%. So this table illustrates a comparison of net position at June 30, 24 to June 30, 25. So if you look at the first piece, the net investment in capital assets, at June 30, 24, the balance was $350.6 million. At June 30, 25, it was $350 million, so it decreased by $0.6 million. And the largest driver of that change was depreciation on capital assets that was recorded during the year. Depreciation reduces the book value of capital assets, and That's kind of what drove the majority of that change. And then restricted net position increased by 4.2 million at June 30, 25 to 78.5 million. And it looks like that was largely due to public works and streets and roads fund balance from various city funds increasing during the year. And then you have your unrestricted deficit at June 30, 24, that was 32 million. And then at June 30, 25, that was 37 million, which is a change of 5 million. So the deficit increased. So the reason for the unrestricted net position having a deficit at June 30, 25 is because largely due to the longer term liabilities. So net pension liability and the net OPEB liability, those are kind of offsetting any assets that the city has. So you could think of it as a longer term picture of the city's financial health. But it doesn't mean that those things are due immediately. So you have to think of it long term when you look at that unrestricted net position. And it also is very common amongst municipalities in California because of pensions and OPEB liabilities being so large. So yeah, just wanted to point that out. So speaking of pension, so pension highlights, if you look at note 11 to the financial statements, you can read a lot about pension for the city. So the city has 4 different plans. And so the changes for the miscellaneous city plan at June 30, 24, the net pension liability was 29.9 million. And at June 30, 25, the liability was at 28.4 million. So it decreased by 1.5 million. And then the city's safety plan went from 11 million to 10.7 million at June 30, 25. So a decrease of 0.3 million. And then the DRFA miscellaneous plan basically had no change from June 30, 24 to June 30, 25. And then the city's DRFA safety plan went from an $8.5 million net pension liability to a $7.7 million net pension liability for a decrease of 0.8 million. And so overall, between all the plans, the net pension liability decreased by 2.6 million. And the largest driver of that decrease was due to CalPERS investment returns during the year, because those offset the total pension liability, bringing the net pension liability down. And then also actuarial assumptions from CalPERS during the year. If you look at note 13 in your financial statements, you'll see there's detailed information about the city's other post-employment benefits plan. So looking at that, at June 30, 24, plan assets for the other post-employment benefits were 34 million. And then at June 30, 25, they were 34.9 million, which is an increase of 0.9 million. And that was due to investment performance. And then the total OPEB liability went from 45 million to 44.5 million at June 30, 25. And that was a decrease of about 0.5 million. And that was due to actuarial assumption changes during the year that impacts the net OPEB liability. So overall, the net OPEB liability between those two things decreased by 1.4 million during the year. Okay, this is just a high-level overview of the general fund balance. So fund balance at June 30, 25 was 29.1 million. That is a $1.8 million increase from June 30, 2024. And that's largely due to the partial year of Measure N transaction and use tax that was collected during the year. Since it was effective for 1/2025, it includes the 3 months worth that was collected and earned during fiscal year 25. So of that 29.1 million, there are 3 different categories of fund balance. So you have your non-spendable at $91.6 thousand. And those are anything that's not spendable, so prepaids and notes receivable. And then you have your committed fund balance. So those are commitments made by City Council for various things. And then you have the rest at unassigned fund balance of 18.3 million. So other major funds, so governmental funds in your financial statements. This is a snapshot of the changes in fund balance during the year. So if you look at the Doherty Valley Fund, beginning fund balance was 0, and it increased by $610,000 during the year, bringing fund balance to $610,000. And the reason for that, it looks like was due to increases in contributions from the general fund. And then the GAD fund had a beginning fund balance of 14.9 million, and then net income of 2.3 million, which brought ending fund balance to 17.2 million. And that was due to a combination of things, an increase in investment income and a decrease in public works expenditures. And then the city's capital projects fund had beginning fund balance of 22.3 million and a net loss of 6.3 million, bringing fund balance to 16 million at June 30, 25. And that was due to an increase in expenditures on capital projects during the year. Okay, so I think the next one is the questions, but before I pass it back to Jennifer, I just wanted to echo that Vic, my partner, wanted me to express that it's a major accomplishment that the city was able to get the ACFR done, especially given all the transitions and reorganization that's happened. So just wanted to make sure to share that.
All right, so final comments. I wanted to make sure to review the city's reserve policy before we close out this item. So the current policy sets the target at 36% of the general fund's operating expenditures plus the transfer out from the general fund to the Doherty Valley Fund. This policy also calls for the reserve amount to be evaluated and presented to council at the presentation of the annual audit, with the mid-year budget report and with budget adoption. So to be consistent with that policy, based on the fiscal year 25 audit, the general fund year-end fund balance of $29.1 million is 45% of the general fund reserve calculation, putting us above the 36% target. I did receive a question in advance of this meeting regarding where the fiscal year 25 balances would have been absent Measure N. And so I wanted to make sure to address that. The fiscal year 25 ACFR shows the general fund activity increased by $1.8 million in the fund balance for the general fund. And so with the receipt of $3.45 million of Measure N money in fiscal year 25, the general fund would have actually seen a reduction of $1.65 million, resulting in an ending fund balance of $25.65 million. So that revised fund balance without Measure N would have resulted in a reserve calculation of 39%. So we still would have achieved our reserve target. In terms of next steps, acceptance tonight closes the financial books on fiscal year 25. Figures and information from this report will inform future discussions and decisions that council will have in terms of the fiscal resiliency framework that we discussed back in October. Additionally, the city is scheduled to receive the fiscal year 25 memorandum on internal controls at the Finance Committee meeting in February on the 18th. And I wanted to reiterate that that report contains the auditor's observations and recommendations for improvements to our internal controls and processes, which we will take very seriously and we will get to discuss in depth at that meeting. So in the absence of our accounting manager this year, it was a real team effort to pull together this report. And I would just wanted to thank the finance team. There's just been exceptional collaboration within the department, especially from Elaine Wang, Michelle Joe, and Yulia Elbow. And with that, I request that council accept the ACFR after the questions have been answered.
Okay. Thank you for your presentation. We will move on to, are there any council members, Councilmember Adler, do you have any questions?
Yeah, I know you mentioned there was a, you look at ways to improve. And I guess there was some issue where you couldn't put that in this report, but it's going to be something in the February report. So what happened with that as far as not being included in this report?
So I don't believe it's been the city's historical practice to include the memorandum of internal controls with the audit presentation. It has been my past experience to do that, and it's one that I would like to implement here going forward. As Whitney referenced, no, it's okay. Our engagement partner, Vicky, had to go out for personal reasons.
Oh,
So
okay.
she wasn't able to complete the report in time for us to present it with this item. And so rather than wait till the next council meeting, I felt it was prudent to just have a more in-depth discussion about it at the finance committee meeting.
And the accounting firm, have we used you in the past, or is this, I'm just wondering if you have reviewed our finances in the past and can have a history, or are you new to this?
Yeah, so I do know, so the current contract that we're engaged with with the city started with the June 30, 2023 audit. So we've been the auditor since then.
Mhm.
And I know we were the auditor also back in the day. I don't remember what year it was. But it was a while of a gap between 2023 and whenever it was that we were the auditor before. So yeah, we have had 3 years, including fiscal year 25, engaged with the city as the auditor.
So well, I guess you were part of when we had some issues, with the deficit early on, before Measure N came into play. But no, I like the report, and I like our new, Jennifer, I like the philosophy that you kind of went over last time you were here about no new programs or positions without trade-off, no spending money we don't have. I mean, those are kind of common sense, but I just like to see that philosophy going forward. So I appreciate this report. Thank you.
Okay, Councilmember Joanna, do you have any clarifying questions or comments?
Yeah, I do. Thank you so much. And thank you to Maze. I appreciate it. Wonderful presentation. And Jennifer, you and the team have been great. Thank you for answering the question regarding Measure N. I have a couple of questions. Regarding Measure N, does the city collect all of the taxes? Have we collected all the taxes or anything outstanding from Measure N where some stores maybe, I don't know if you have that data available, but I'm just curious. If there anybody that owes stores that owes the county or owes the city taxes?
We are in receipt of everything that's been submitted for Measure N and
Okay.
collected by the state. But we do have a contract with a consultant who follows up on vendors who maybe have not been applying the transactions and use tax to help educate and get the rate added.
Okay. And just out of curiosity, if there was a delta between what was collected and what should have been collected, how does that calculate back into, or do you redo the numbers for 2025 or no? Okay.
It's just received in the year where they collect the money.
Received when they are collected. Okay. And then just some numbers in the report on packet page number 397 and packet page 396. It says police stations, 1 police station, but on packet page 396 says 2 police stations. I don't know if that's a little error or maybe I'm reading both documents wrong.
Can you refer me to the section?
Packet page 396.
I only have the report pages. Oh, thank you.
Oh, 206.
So under police stations on 206.
Yeah. So in
Sorry.
2025, it says 2. On the next page, it says 1.
Having trouble locating that spot. So why don't I follow up with you later on that?
No problem. Okay. And I think that, nope, that's it. Thank you.
Councilmember Veros, do you have any clarifying comments or questions?
Yeah, thanks for the presentation. So I want to piggyback on Councilmember Adler's question regarding the audit in 2024 is done by your company, right?
Yes.
So what is the goal of that audit? Was like if we got into like structural deficit, and was the audit supposed to find it ahead of time, or there was no such objective in as part of this audit?
So our audit scope covers the financial statements that are presented. So anything that's in the financial statements is what we opine on and we test. So I think what you're talking about is more of a budgetary deficit, if I understand correctly. So
Yeah.
we wouldn't necessarily audit that unless we were engaged separately to audit that particular document, the budget document. If that makes sense.
Yeah, so the annual audit looks at our financial transactions for a period of time and tests them to ensure that we are presenting them accurately, that they represent what we say they're representing, and that they match what actually happened. Whereas the deficit situation is about how we establish our policies around budgeting and how we enact our policies. But what the auditors do is completely separate. It's testing what actually happened and making sure that that's what we're representing to the public and to our creditors.
So is it the audit is part of, do you check the internal control processes?
Yes.
So if we are, how we find out that our internal control processes are not in a right shape? If we got into structural deficit, my understanding is that because our internal control process was not set it right. That's why we got into that stage, right?
Well, the internal control processes are more about fraud. So like to make an analogy, it would be as if the auditors look at your personal checking account to ensure that you're tracking your expenses properly. But whether or not you are overspending your personal income is not what they're evaluating. They're just making sure that you're recording your housing expenses properly or your travel expenses properly and validating that that is correct categorization. And in terms of internal controls, they would opine that you're processing your bank reconciliation properly or incorrectly. But if you were deciding to build up debt on a credit card for vacations, that's beyond the scope of an audit.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
So-
that's a practice about how you're using your resources, and that's not how you are managing your recording your expenses and your transactions.
Okay. So on I heard you mentioning on February 18th, we are going to have internal control processes, changes and enhancements. Is that coming out from this audit report, or is it?
Yes.
So it is coming from this audit report, right?
Yes.
Okay. So I know I'll wait till February 18th, but then I hope we learned something from that, our experience.
Yeah.
And hopefully we'll improve our internal control process as well as the overall how we are keeping track of our books. Now, let's go back to the pension slide, please.
This one?
Yeah. So now this is out of what this is not connected to our what is that? The COB, not COB. What is that? POB.
POB.
So we did POB. I forgot how many $1 million we did. But right now, after we finish, this is out of that, whatever these numbers are, right? Okay.
Correct.
And how the trend is going on? Are we still seeing the increase in this liability, or are we still seeing slowdown?
So what this chart shows is that there was a decrease from fiscal year 24 to fiscal year 25 in the outstanding liability.
Okay, so hopefully this trend will continue to
Yes.
decrease it because of the new employees are going to get into PEPRA, right? So that's the reason.
Yes, so I think there are several factors. Whitney touched on some of them. Some of them have to do with the improved market conditions. The higher market returns by CalPERS drives down the liability. Changes in actuarial assumptions drive down liability or drive it up. And then also as employees retire out of the more expensive plans and new employees come on and build the liability in the Pepper plan, which has less liability associated with it, then this number grows at a slower rate.
All right, okay, sounds good. So the next slide, I want to check the OPEB.
Mhm.
This one, yeah. So this one, is it last year we took out is it last year or before to that, I think, is it 1.5 million or something we took out of this plan, or is it trust, the other one maybe?
When you say last year, are you referring to fiscal year 25 or fiscal year 24?
24 or 25, I'm trying to remember that. Maybe 24, I think that's when we took out, that's when we had all these budget
Yes.
deficit issues.
So I believe in fiscal year 24 was the last time we took a distribution from the SERP trust. Fiscal year 25, as we discussed 2 weeks ago, was we had anticipated doing a distribution on the SERP trust in fiscal year 25 to offset the retiree health costs, but we did not take that distribution.
Okay.
So there was no drawdown on the plan assets in fiscal year 25.
Okay, in 25, we don't have any, so from 45, 45.
But as we look to the fiscal resilience framework that we discussed, one of the steps on that ladder is discussing the OPEB funding policy. So I think that, you know, when we get to that, we can talk about what we should document in our policy is our plan for how we utilize these resources in terms of paying out of pocket every year for our retiree expenses, or whether we're using this distribution from this trust,
From this trust.
because it is very highly funded.
This is the only good one, which I think we are
I think we're at like we're over 90% funded.
90%. This is the one, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, through this audit, can we find if we have any weaknesses within our overall budgeting? Is there anything that did we find or?
So I wasn't involved in fiscal year 25, so I'm just speaking from what I know, but it sounds like none related to the budget, but just other areas related to the financial statement, internal controls. I'm not sure what those are because my partner hasn't put it together yet, but I know she knows, you know, she just hasn't provided the document to the city yet.
So I would say, you know, when we have these calculations and measures in our financial report, we can compare them to similar agencies and see if we're in alignment with the liability levels that they're seeing, and it can inform whether or not we have the right policies in place for our agency, or whether there are other opportunities for us to, you know, make tweaks to the policies that we have in place to give us a better outcome. So these numbers on their own don't direct us to an improved solution, but they at least give us information that help us to derive alternatives to bring to council.
Okay. Now, is through this audit, can we find whether our revenue and expenditure are we in good shape?
So we don't specifically opine on that. We just opine on that the city's financial statements are materially represented. So yeah, so we can't really say like, yes, like good, you know, like two golden thumbs up kind of a thing like with that, but we can say that whatever is in here is materially stated, and yeah, that doesn't answer your question, but.
Well, and if I can chime in here, just really quick, Councilmember Veros, I think a lot of people, when they hear audit, it's an audit of everything, all of your practices, how you're forecasting. You know, you could break down city finance into 3 areas: accounting, budgeting, and forecasting. And fortunately, throughout the history of San Ramon, we've always had pretty solid accounting practices. That's why we're winning the awards every year. We know where the money is. The money is where we say it should be, and our controls for handling the money are top notch. I think where, you know, some of the question lies is, how did we get to that situation that we were in? That was more of a budgeting and forecasting problem, which isn't really addressed by the audit. The audit's separate from that. So you hear communities saying, "Oh, well, you know, how did we get here? Let's do an audit." Well, the audit will just tell you what you have in the bank at the current time. They won't really opine on, here's how you should be budgeting or forecasting the future. That we're going to get into probably in the next 12 months. We're going to do a lot of work to kind of solidify how we're doing that budgeting and forecasting end. Because I'll admit, that's probably one of the large contributors to the shortfall is, and I've said this publicly before, we would always budget and forecast for that particular year, say, hey, we balanced the budget, pat on the back, we'll worry about next year. And that's what kind of started that slide where I had that stone skipping slide where every year, we would find another skip that would save us for that fiscal year. And then we wouldn't know what that skip across the pond was going to be for the next year. And at some point that rock's going to sink. So we're no longer skipping stones. We're not relying on trying not to rely on the one-time infusions, but that'll be addressed through the budgeting and the forecasting conversations that we'll have. The budgeting will be pretty much for this year, will be legally done by July 1st, but still the forecasting and a few policies will be coming before the council in this next year.
Okay, thanks for the clarification. So that's what I wanted to try to find out when we are saying audit, then what did we achieve out of this auditing? That's what I'm trying to find. And how we are going to use this audit in not to get into the same situation. But then as budget and forecast, that's where we need to start focusing not to get into that situation. That makes sense. Okay, then, so
Just
how?
one thing.
Yeah.
I will say that I think when one of my first presentations to the council, we talked about how the timeline of these reports and of this information is important. So while the audit is a look back and confirmation of our resources at a particular point in time, it's really important that we know what assets we actually have. So when we were trying to make budget decisions at the same time as not knowing where our audit ended and what actual resources we had, it makes the financial picture much more difficult. So that's, I think, maybe one of the biggest pieces of value for the audit is that it kind of puts a stake in the ground for, yes, confirming these are the resources we have so that we have a solid point from which to plan out our numbers looking forward. Confirmation.
Sounds good. Thanks for answering all my questions.
Thank you. So I just wanted to ask, I know it's probably still too early to really say, but at least looking in the more recent past, with the Measure N revenues, are we seeing a trajectory that's showing a positive gain month in month, every month when you're looking at the trend, and is it on course with what we were projecting, or at least estimating the revenues would be when we initially brought that measure before the public?
I would love to tell you that I know that already. We actually had our first when we first got our details of the April through June receipts. That was in October. So I believe next week we have our second meeting on Measure N money, which will be for that July to December quarter.
Okay.
Or sorry, July to September.
Okay. Which is
It
what
runs really far behind. Yeah.
Okay, no problem. I just wanted to say thank you for the report. I can see some of the how you redistributed some things to make sure that we're solvent in every aspect and the funds are more clearly dedicated funds. So there's no confusion and meshing of things, creating possible oversights as we discussed during our meeting. I remember you mentioning that. So thank you for the report. Thank you for the updates, and keep up the good work. We appreciate it. Okay, so next we are going to open public comment. City Clerk, have we received any speaker cards?
We have not received any speaker cards. We did receive one written public comment for this item from Brian Swanson, which is before you and also in the back of the room.
Okay.
And actually, we do have a speaker. And that is Sharad Kathrani.
Okay. All righty. Sharad.
So I was looking one of the public commenter from Brian Swanson. There was a huge $6 million difference, which he has highlighted across in in his public comment highlighting where it is, as well as the other important topics which he mentioned. I would like, none of the topics were covered by the council when they asked questions, especially. I think they should be covered. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. So we will close public comment. And does anyone have any additional comments?
Oh, thanks. Thanks for the report. Appreciate all the great work.
Thank you. Everybody else? Okay, great. So there's no council action required. And we will move on to, let's see, item number 10, city managers and city council members' comments, matters initiated. City
Great,
manager.
thank you. I do have a few items to note this evening. One, we do have the next public hearing for the Orchards proposed development that will take place at the Planning Commission meeting on Tuesday, February 3rd at 6 p.m. here at City Hall. It'll be streamed live on YouTube. At this meeting, staff will present a draft resolution to approve the project with conditions. More information can be found at sanramon.ca.gov/orchards. We also have 3 deadlines approaching for 3 different items here in San Ramon. The first, the deadline for applying for Government 101 for the spring session is coming up this Friday, January 30th. This is a free 7-session civic education course that provides insight as to how city services are delivered. And you can go to the website to apply. On Wednesday, so that's tomorrow, January 28th, we have the San Ramon PD Community Academy application deadline, and that's also a free 14-session course that provides insight into law enforcement processes, and it's open to anyone 18 or older who live and work in San Ramon. Also tomorrow, the deadline, 5 p.m. tomorrow, Wednesday the 28th, for the Sustainability Advisory Committee. So if you are interested in applying for the newly formed Sustainability Advisory Committee, make sure to get your application in. And again, you can find more information on the city's website. And the final item that I'd like to note, as some people have heard, we had the Giants Fan Fest hosted at the City Center on Saturday. Kudos to PD and everybody involved. I believe over an estimated 10,000 people attended. I was unable to go, but the photos showed a packed city center. And as I understand it, as soon as it was over, people dispersed and there were minimal impacts. So didn't hear any complaints, heard a lot of kudos. And it was a great event highlighting the city of San Ramon. So thank you to all of those involved. I believe I saw a picture in the Chronicle of one of our sergeants in the background. I thought I saw one of them, but yeah, we did have everybody out there making sure it went smoothly. So thank you to all involved.
And as was mentioned, 10,000 people who came and likely shopped in San Ramon.
Likely shopped, hopefully loved the city center and deciding to come back and visit areas of San Ramon if it was their first time here. So that was a really great event.
Great. Thank you so much. All righty. I'll move on to city council members' comments and matters initiated. I will start with Councilmember Adler.
Thank you, Vice Mayor. Yeah, we had a lot going on starting on Martin Luther King's birthday. We have, as a city, have been hosting the birthday celebration and remembrance here in the Rotunda. This is we just had the 5th annual celebration, and we had a lot of speakers. They didn't really open it up to everybody this time, but we had some really good speakers. We had beautiful young singer. I forgot her name, but she was just a joy. And we had Senator Mark DeSaulnier, Congressman Mark DeSaulnier speak. And we also had Councilmember Veros kind of help kick it off. And we also heard from the Vice Mayor. She spoke well at the podium. So that was a great event. I always enjoy, remembering Dr. King and how he still is very meaningful today. His words still resonate. Later, actually earlier that day, I went to the Museum of San Ramon Valley. I got a tour. I'm going to be on the board of directors. I got a tour from Beverly Lane, and they have a new exhibit there, and that is at the train station. So it's not just Danville. It's open to. It's part of San Ramon's history as well. So we have a lot of school projects. Kids come to go to the one room schoolhouse. That's one activity. And then one other activity in that school year is to go to the Museum of San Ramon Valley. And they have a new exhibit about Juan Bautista de Anza, who was a Spanish explorer, military officer, and politician. He led an exhibit from New Mexico, back in 1776, and they actually came to our area. And that exhibit also includes the indigenous people that lived here many years before we did and are important to, remember the history. They have a replica dwelling there, so I encourage people to go to that museum. On Tuesday, the 20th, I attended the teen council meeting, which was held just down the sidewalk here at the city center. And they talked about, didn't last too long, but they talked, every year they have like a job fair for the teens, and they can meet with local employers. They have a workshop, and they have some mock interviews for our local teens. So I've helped interview for that and before. I think I'm going to do that again this year. But it's a great opportunity, and that's going to be on Saturday, March 7th at the Pleasanton Senior Center. There'll be a morning and afternoon session. So I encourage teens that want to, have some experience interviewing to go to that event. Also on Thursday, January 22nd, I met with, in fact, Council Vice Mayor Rubio and I were both there to meet Senator Tim Grayson. Talked a little bit about the Senate Bill 707, which has to do with the open meetings that we're going to be affected with when people are able to call in by phone or by Zoom and be able to comment during our city council meetings and other meetings, actually. On Saturday, the January 24th, I went to the Senior Historic Foundation crab feed. Actually, a number of us were there, and it was one of the better events I think I've ever attended. I was in the kitchen, but it was great to see all the people that make this a success. We had high school kids. We had, our members, City Council member Veros and I were back there. We got people preparing the crab to go out into the hall there that was served. And I'll tell you, one of the things I was most impressed about was the auctioneering that went on. Terry Keeney, and there was another auctioneer, I don't remember his name, but we were able to raise a lot of money auctioning pies and cakes, and it was kind of a entertainment to watch those guys go at it and increase the amount of the bids, which all go towards the historical foundation, which goes directly to Forest Home Farms, which we're going to be renovating. So that was a wonderful event. Also, Vice Mayor and I went to the Dr. Martin Luther King Fellowship breakfast yesterday, which was held at the Palm Center in Pleasanton. And a number of people were recognized for what they do in our community. And I'm happy to say one of them was Gary Albert, who got the Legacy Award for all the work he's done in this community. So was glad to see that. We all kind of got in the receiving line and shook hands with a lot of the award winners, and that was emceed by Tim Sabrante, the Master of Ceremonies. So that was a wonderful event yesterday. And oh yeah, and then I had last night, I went to, along with Vice Mayor, we went to the San Ramon Historical Foundation, who put on that event on Saturday, and kind of reflected on how well that went and all the people that worked on the event. So we have other things going on in the future, new projects for the Tractor Museum, and new grant opportunities. And so anyway, that was the last one I went to. So I'm done with my report.
Thank you so much. We'll move on to Councilmember Schweinett.
Thank you. January 22nd, I was at the Library Foundation meeting. Library San Ramon is expected to receive 2 Zoom booths. Stephen, was it, I don't know if I forgot to ask them whether these Zoom booths they have computers in them, or are they just private telephone booths where like you could take your laptop and conduct a Zoom
I
meeting?
think they're equipped with the equipment. It's not just a shell that you bring your own laptop.
Okay.
I believe they have everything, but I can clarify that.
Yeah, so they're coming in mid-February, which is great news for our library here. San Ramon Library will have 2 Zoom booths. And then on January 26th, I attended the Traffics meeting. Our buses mid-year will start to receive new technology on the buses. So go further than just low jacking the buses. We'll actually have GPS. We'll have video communications from the bus driver to the main station first student. So if there's something happens on the bus, the drivers can get a hold of their operator immediately. Parents be able to track their students, see where they are on the bus, see if they caught the bus at the right time. So that's great news. That's it for me for events. On council comments, I do have a question, Steve, and maybe for Brian. I know he's in the back, but regarding Public Works, I walk around the community, and some folks have been asking regarding the utility units, the electrical utility units and the telephone. The ones on the sidewalk, are they belong to the city, or do they belong to PG&E? Some of them aren't marked. Maybe some of them have like the old Viacom or old Pac Bell. Are those owned by utility companies, or
Those are
owned by the
typically
city?
owned by utility companies.
They're owned
The
by the-
only city-owned facilities that you would run into typically
Yeah.
are one of 2 items. One would be traffic control boxes
Yeah.
for the signals, and those are located near the signals. And every now and then, could be along the sidewalk, irrigation controllers. They look like the stainless steel. I used to refer to them as the R2
R2D2
unit.
ones, yeah.
Yeah, those are for irrigation controls, but then everything else is typically owned by utility companies.
Okay.
If anybody has an issue with any utility boxes or anything like that, Brian Bornstein's cell phone number, his personal cell
Like,
number
this-
is 925, no, just call the main city line or the public service line, and we can have that addressed.
Okay, and the last comment, some folks in the community have asked, they've received, they have handicap placards. Are they allowed to? I told them, don't paint your sidewalk blue, but
No.
they're not allowed to. Where can who do they talk to about putting in if they're allowed to handicap zones?
I don't believe they're allowed to.
They're not
under
allowed
the
to, okay.
Vehicle code under just public right of way.
Okay,
So that would only be at stalls identified for that.
that stalls, not
Yeah.
on the street.
Not in front of homes. No,
Okay,
not
I
aware of
didn't,
that.
I
Yeah.
didn't think so. Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
Of course. Councilmember Rose.
My my items pretty much covered by Councilmember Adler. So, but I want to say thanks for Martin Luther King Jr. celebrations, San Ramon Valley Diversity Coalition, fantastic event, and thanks to our Parks and Community Services Department for arranging all those chairs as well as podium and everything that within the facility. That was perfect. Thanks for all your good work. And on regarding the craft feed that was on for senior Historic Foundation. Thanks to Senior Historic Foundation for doing all the great work. I appreciate your commitment and dedication to keep continuously make sure that we take care of our heritage. So thanks for all your contributions. And also thanks to our Parks Commissioners being there. I get to see our Parks Commissioners in that event. So thanks for that. That's pretty much my comments.
Thank you for that. So my report starts on, since the last meeting starts on January 14th, I attended the LAFCO meeting in Martinez. Nothing reached locally relevant to us, so I will skip details there. However, on January 15th, I went to the County Connection meeting, and there was a really wonderful program that we received a grant for, and it was approved for the non-emergency medical transportation, and what it's called NEMT. It's will provide Medi-Cal recipients who qualify for medical ridership, paid ridership. And so it will likely update. Eventually, they're going to update that to make it a little bit more streamlined. It has lagged at times because right now, for example, the regional center tends to be sort of the intermediary to help reimburse County Connection for those rides. But this will make it such that anyone who is on Medi-Cal would, and obviously needing County Connection services, would automatically qualify for free ridership. So kind of streamlines that a little bit, and I thought it was great, good news. And then also at the County Connection, the 2026 legislative session bill tracker. So these are our priority bills. We're three of them: SB 752, sales and use tax exemptions. It's California hybrid and zero emission truck and bus voucher incentive project for transit buses. Also the AB 810 by Irwin, local government, internet websites, and email addresses. And finally, AB 1331 by Ellery, workplace surveillance. So those are the bills. Actually, they were in support of SB 752, which was by Richardson, the sales and use taxes for the exemptions for the California hybrid and zero emission truck and bus voucher, but they were opposed to AB 810 and 1331. And then on same day, January 15th, I attended the Transportation Advisory Committee meeting. Couple items were on the agenda: the application for the Transportation Development Act Article Grant Funds. We received a staff report by PJ Doot, Associate Planner. I hope I pronounced that correctly. And then also we reviewed the charge of the Transportation Advisory Committee. So it's basically just sort of, we allowed the advisory committee to really refocus themselves and redirect themselves and really talk about sort of what their mission is going to be. And so that those goals are crystallized a little more for all involved. So, and the committee was actually very, provided a lot of feedback, and it was very productive. And then on January 19th, as was mentioned, alongside my fellow council members, I attended the San Ramon Diversity Coalition Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. celebration. And really, at least on, as was mentioned, we had a couple of young singers. Always really impressed me. I don't know how they master that so young, but they did a great job. We had a great speech by Nathan Tran. He's the president of APEPA, is that correct? Yes. And he gave a very heartfelt, moving speech. And also Kristen, what's the last name? Kristen from PFLAG?
Crystal Glazer.
Crystal Glazer from PFLAG. She also provided quite a moving speech. And just from my personal end, I really focused was just on Dr. Martin Luther King's message on what's needed for for peace. And he said, quote, "Only through placing love, mercy, and justice first can we have peace." So then on January 24th, along with Councilmember Veros and Adler, I attended the 2026 San Ramon Historic Foundation Crab Feed. Very well attended. I was told there was approximately 200 people in attendance. I was fortunate enough to win a bid actually from Heidi's business. And so it's actually, a really nice gift. It's going to be for my mom, actually. But it was very well attended. And thanks to my staff, we got a lot of compliments from Carol Riley regarding the speech that I was able to deliver about historic, about the Boone House and the Forest Home Farms. So, and then on January, as was mentioned, at January 22nd, I had attended the meet and greet with Senator Tim Grayson as well. And then on January 26th, I went to along with Councilmember Adler to the 25th, the 25th annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Fellowship Breakfast and Awards. Another thing, Gary was having a great morning because he also won the 2 free tickets. There was an airfare, and it was a really expensive airfare. He was the lucky winner. I actually had called a different person first, but they left, so they lost their opportunity, and Gary was the second person chosen. So, and then I would say from that event, I would like to mention that their Next Generation Young Philanthropist Awards, this is for young people, to encourage young people to start early, getting involved in nonprofit sector and philanthropic efforts. Rabia Badar won that award. She was the honoree and is doing amazing things at a very young age. And then finally, on January 26th, alongside Councilmember Adler, I attended the San Ramon Historic Foundation. So that's about it on my report. Let me see. Just a second. Too many papers here. Just a moment, because there's something I don't want to lose this. Excuse me. There we go. So I would like to adjourn our meeting today by recognizing that it is the Holocaust Remembrance Day. And, I just, something for us to always keep in mind, that how we can avoid that in the future and prevent that from happening ever again. So thank you all for being here tonight, and I appreciate you, and have a good night. Oh, wait, our next meeting, regularly scheduled council meeting, will be held on February 10th, 2026. Thanks you again.